Hi guys, this is a presentation on the neuron. So a neuron is basically a nerve cell. So these are the cells of the nervous system. Okay, and as you can see, this cell has a very interesting shape. Okay, the shape is designed to send messages. Okay, so it has this really long area in the center that enables it to travel very long distances to send messages very quickly. So let's go through the parts of your average neuron. So number one is the dendrite. Okay, the dendrite, okay, are these nice little branched areas right here. So branches, okay, and these are the areas that are going to receive, okay, the impulse, okay, and this impulse is usually in the form of a neurotransmitter, which we will talk about in a little bit. Okay, so that's part number one. The next part that you need to know is the cell body. You may hear this referred to as the soma, but in here we're going to call it the cell body. Okay, and this is basically the nucleus plus all the organelles. So everything that a normal cell has, a neuron has too. And this is going to be located right here. Okay, so here you can see the nucleus. Okay, so the next part, oops, get a new color, is this very special part. It's called the axon. The axon is this area right here, this long, oops, there's some AP bio, long area right here. And the axon basically is the long fiber, okay, and this is going to help pass the signal to, or this is going to have carry the electric signal to pass it on. So this is going to carry electric, oops, not like me today, signal. Okay, and it could be a long distance, it could be a short distance, it really depends. Okay, your next place, okay, is the synaptic terminal. Okay, the synaptic terminal, these little swellings down here are where the signal is going to be passed to the next neuron. And keeps hitting that little thing. Okay, and then the last part today, this is a really interesting part. It's called myelin sheath. So the myelin sheath, it covers the axon. You can almost think about it like that plastic that covers a wire. So if this signal right here is more of an electric signal, okay, the myelin sheath is going to help insulate it. Stop it. So it's going to insulate the signal so that way it can travel down the axon more quickly. Have you ever heard of anybody having multiple sclerosis? Multiple sclerosis, or MS, is actually caused by the breaking down of the myelin sheath. So the nerve signals aren't insulated, and it can be really hard for these individuals to be able to send messages around their nervous system very efficiently. So this is the myelin sheath, okay, kind of like a little plastic on a wire. Okay, so let's go back and kind of think about this in terms of things we've talked about before. So if this is a nerve, okay, nerves are going to receive impulses from nerves that are prior to them, or possibly a sense. I'm going to make this nerve right here an interneuron. Remember, interneurons are found in the central nervous system. I'm going to draw another little nerve here. It might not be that pretty, but it'll work. And this nerve could maybe be my sensory nerve. Sensory neuron. And remember that sensory neurons will send messages to interneurons. The message is going to be sent electrically, okay, down this nerve until it gets to the synaptic terminals, and then at the synaptic terminals, this nerve is going to release neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters will go out into the synapse, and what's really cool about neurotransmitters is that they can bind to little receptors. So this is like a receptor on my dendrite. I have a little neurotransmitter bind, and when the neurotransmitter binds, it'll help send a signal down this nerve, through the cell body, down the axon of this interneuron that's in the central nervous system, and to the end of the synaptic terminal. Here, okay, neurotransmitters will be released. Okay, and these neurotransmitters will signal the next nerve in the relay. Okay, so draw another one. Yeah, my drawing skills are so beautiful. Here's another, here's an axon. We'll say that maybe this is a motor neuron because interneurons signal motor neurons, okay, with the appropriate response. Okay, so these neurotransmitters can bind to a receptor. When they bind to the receptor, they can send a message to this neuron at the end, and then this can carry out whatever response is appropriate. So this will usually signal a muscle, or maybe a gland. Okay. So to review, okay, sending signals with nerves is both chemical, okay, because your neurotransmitters are proteins, and it is electrical, okay, and this is what happens down the axon. Okay, so chemical, electrical, your sensory neuron will send the signal electrically through the neuron, release these chemical neurotransmitters. These proteins will bind to the receptor, okay, which will send an electrical signal through the inner neuron. Okay. This neuron will release neurotransmitters, those chemical signals that are proteins, bind to another neuron receptor, send an electrical signal, and then finally signal a muscle or gland chemically with more neurotransmitters. So in the next presentation, you're going to see how the electrical signal is able to be sent through a nerve. Okay, but this is just generally the parts of a neuron and how neurons can interact and communicate with each other. Please bring any questions you have with you back to class.